Hey everyone, and welcome back to the She's Champion podcast. She's Champion is a podcast and a growing community that empower Black women to live the life they desire. We do that by focusing on self improvement, self care, health, fitness, mental health, finance, and so much more. We understand that everyone is different, and She's Champion focuses on bringing a sisterhood of women together to uplift each other and to help find the resources to get active on their goals. As She's Champion, we are competitors, and I don't mean in a masculine way. I mean we have to go out and get what we want. As a Black woman, we should take time to focus on ourselves first. And I mean focus on ourselves in fitness, finance, mental health, self-care, and whatever we feel like we need to level up on. We need to take time to gain the skills that's going to really take us to the next level. As She's Champion, we put in work and we take action. We have to make ourselves competitive in all aspects of our life, and we compete because she is champion. If this sounds like a podcast or a community for you, we definitely encourage you to join our Facebook community. That is She's Champion. Or follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to stay connected and get active. All my platforms is She's Champion or at She's Champion. This is a disclaimer. The content that is discussed on this channel should not be constructed as medical or mental health advice, nor is this information a substitute for professional, medical, or mental health advice, diagnosis, expertise, or treatment. If you or any other person has a medical or mental health concern, you should consult with your healthcare provider and or seek other professional medical treatment. Okay, y'all, let's get into today's episode. So, happy November. It is November 7th that I'm recording this episode, and this is the perfect topic for the beginning of the month. So, we are going to talk about No-November. This is my first time hearing about it. I never heard about No-November before, and this is a challenge I can get with. Like, I heard of so many other challenges before for November, but I really like this one. I think everyone can participate, everyone can benefit from this. And hopefully, people can not only just do this in November, but could just have and do this for the rest of their lives because it's supporting you guys. So, No November is about saying no, feeling comfortable and confident about just saying no and allowing no to be the complete sentence. That's what No November is about. So you're going to be saying no to your family, friends, relationships, workplace. I feel like you're going to be saying no to just things that do not align with you and your goals and your values. Like, we're going to stop extending ourselves, and if we don't want to do something, if we're not comfortable with doing something and we're not required to do it, we're going to say no, So no to your job, no to your family and friends, and even saying no to yourself. It's just very important for us to create boundaries and really put boundaries in place for other people and companies. We have to just stop extending ourselves. So I think this is just the perfect challenge for everyone. I do understand that some people have a hard time saying no to others. Like, trust me, I'm not walking around just saying no, 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 no. Like, that's not me. I'm not doing that. That's just not who I am. It's hard for me to say no sometimes as well. But what I found is that when I say yes to things that I don't want to do, it makes me feel uncomfortable. So yes, I made that person happy. I made that person feel comfortable, the fact that I said yes to them, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. Depending on what I say yes to or what I agree to, I could lose sleep. When I lose sleep, girl, I'm going to go to sleep, but I'm going to have some trouble, probably going to sleep, probably around 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to think about the thing I agreed to, and then I'm going to have butterflies and all that type of stuff. So it just doesn't make me feel good when I agree to things that I didn't want to do in the first place. And then me being the person with my word and everything like that, I don't want to like go back on it either. And actually saying yes to something and going back and telling them, oh, I changed my mind. For me personally, like back then, like that's very uncomfortable because it's like, dang, I should have just said no, or just should have never said anything in the first place. But that's why I have learned myself. I learned things that I'm comfortable doing, and that's what I think people should just do for themselves. Like they gotta like realize like what they're okay with saying, what they're okay with not saying, what are other ways that they could go around with delivering the same message but not having to say those words if they have a hard time saying, certain things to certain people. So for me, maybe a while ago it was hard for me to say no, so I will have certain phrases already like pre-planned in my mind, like that episode of SpongeBob when it was fine dining, like it's already there ready to go when it's time. So for me, instead of just saying no, I might just say, well, let me think about it and I'll get back to you, or I have to check and then I'll let you know. For me, those phrases is so much easier to say instead of just saying no if you have a hard time. Now, there's some people out there, and I love them, who can just say no and look at you and then go back to their work. I respect that. I feel like we all should be on that wave, and I enjoy that. But everyone is not like that. So you have to do what works for you. And guess what? If if someone named Jasmine said no, period, and then another girl named Kiana said, let me think about it and I will let you know, guess what? They both did not agree to something they didn't want to do. So even though Jasmine was more clear and just said no, period, and Kiana didn't say no, but she said, let me think about it. So it wasn't a yes. And then she said, I will let you know later. So her decision was not made yet. So therefore, she didn't say yes either. But they both got their point across. So granted, the person who Kiana said no to, they're going to come back. Like whoever asked the question is going to come back either the next day and ask her like, hey, so did you think about it? Versus with Jasmine, it was a clear no, period, move on with your life, babu. They're not going to come back to Jasmine, but they're going to come back to Kiana and ask her, hey, did you think about it? And you know what? Like I said, fine dining, like SpongeBob's fine dining. We already got our response ready for that next too. So we'll say like, hey, I thought about it and I'm sorry, I can't do it. Period. So yeah, you didn't say no day one, but guess what? You said no the second day by saying, and you still didn't even say the word no. If you're having a hard time saying no, you just say, hey, I thought about it and I can't do it. And then that person is going to turn around and move on. And then you just leave it at that. And I also encourage you, like, not to do small talk after that. Just say, hey, I thought about it. I can't do it. And then act like you have to go do something. Like, have something in your hand. Like, stand up while you're saying it to make it look like you're about to, like, go to the bathroom, go to the break room, or whatever. But, like, those are just things that you could do. Because, like I say, you guys, everyone's not the same. Some people can say no perfectly fine. And some people have a hard time saying no. And that's fine as well. So, like, we're just here to, like, really just try to navigate different ways that we could still just have the same message where it's still the same as we're saying no, we're not doing it, we're not rocking with it. So those are just things that I find helpful for myself, and I definitely think it's great. Like, I really like it. It's a good way of just saying no without having to say it. And like I said, and don't feel bad about saying no. Like, please don't. I know some people probably feel bad about not being able to help this person, or just saying like, well, I could help them. Like, it's really not a big deal. But the whole point is like, you don't have to. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. And I don't mean this in a selfish way. It's just that we sometimes extend ourselves so much, and other people are not giving us that back. And I mean this in like the most healthiest, balanced way, you guys. I really don't mean it in just being like selfish person, or you're always saying no to everyone. You're not helping other people out. Like, I don't mean in this way. I just mean, like, you guys know what I mean. Like, there's just certain incidents that occurs in our life where we have to get comfortable saying no. It's very dangerous to actually just be a person who say yes all the time. So that's why I think November is happening right now. Like, it is something that's going on because majority of people are gonna help people, like, are going to say yes, but we gotta like have some type of balance, you guys. So and like I said, other people don't have a problem with saying no. So like I said, like, don't feel bad, because sometimes the people who you might ask for, who ask you for a favor, or actually do something for them, and you ask them to do something for you, they will tell you no in a heartbeat. They're not even going to give you that whole spill that I just said, like gave an example that Kiana's going to do. They're going to tell you no like Jasmine. And it doesn't even just have to be like people as in your friends and your family. It could be like jobs. Jobs have no problem with telling you no. Like, it's crazy. Like, jobs, they don't. They don't have no problem with telling you no. So you should feel really comfortable about telling a job or your company no to things that you don't want to do or things that you don't agree with. Like, for me, I'm in grad school right now, and I'm doing my internship. And like, long story short, there was a situation that happened where I'm not required, like, I'm already doing the internship for free, you guys. Like, I'm already doing it for free. It's a part of my grad school program. So I have to do an internship for 2 years for free, you guys, right? So I'm already dedicating my hours. I already made sacrifices in my personal life just to do my internship during the week hours of business hours of where I'm supposed to be at work. So there was an incident that happened where, my placement wanted the interns to stay longer than the time that they're supposed to do. And, they made this whole big deal where they was like, you guys signed the contract already, which was not true. Or this was already told to you guys, which was also not true. But long story short, they were just making this whole big deal and guilt tripping people who basically said that they're not going to do it. They're not required to extend their time to this internship. Like, they're not required to do it, so they're not going to do it. And of course, the intern, they want you to work as much. They're trying to suck as much out of you as they can. And so I basically, told them my standpoint of it, like, no. And let's just say this was the beginning of my internship. Like, I'm only like 1-2 weeks in. People don't even know me. They don't even know my character. And they're already guilt tripping me, already making me feel bad about my decision, already making me feel very uncomfortable, low-key slandering me by saying that like they're disappointed in my character. And like, I just think it was crazy that, I'm fighting and advocating for myself over something that's not even required for me to do. It's technically optional, but you're making me feel bad about something that's supposedly is not a requirement for me to do as a student, but you're trying to make it seem like I'm supposed to do it. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that, with me saying no, there was consequences, unfortunately, that goes with no sometimes. And with that being said, I just thought that was interesting how I said what I said, but I end up having, I did have to do a compromise. So we met in the middle on something, and later on down the line, there was other things that was going on in my internship. And like I said, they had no things that actually was really important, and they said no to me with certain stuff. So like I said, jobs have no problems and companies have no problem with telling you no, but soon you tell them no, they're gonna guilt trip you. They're gonna try to make you feel bad about your decision, and if they can, they will try to make you. They will try to put consequences to your actions when you do stand up for yourself and when you do advocate for yourself. So and then it turns around when companies, like I said, will have no problem with telling you no when you ask them for certain things that really matters, that is actually like a requirement, or they won't like be flexible with you, but they expect you to be flexible with them. So just keep that in mind that, companies, they don't care. You might feel bad about not saying yes to your job or your internship, but deep down, when you ask them for something that actually really matter, that's very important, they're gonna tell you no to. So go on and tell them no. Go on and tell them no. And when it comes to like relationships and things like that, or friendships, that's a little different. I know. I feel like with that, you just gotta move in quarter. You just gotta like move in quarterly, and just really communicate with your feelings thoroughly, and just make decisions on what you want to do and what you think is appropriate, and just really take time to assess and evaluate the relationship, like friendship or romantic relationship that you're in. Because relationships with the people that you meet, the people that you want to be in your life, it's just completely different from me explaining saying no to like your workplace and stuff like that. But like I said, job is their way or the highway, and I always encourage people to always ask for the policy on information, because sometimes these jobs, they be lying, or they just have unwritten rules, which is like, how you gonna have unwritten rules and then so like that you can't even, like, unwritten rules, like, no, we need the policy, boo, because they will actually try you. So just remember that when it comes to like, and I think back even like at my previous job, how they don't compromise, like working don't your company don't compromise with you at all on things. Like, there was an incident where I, asked for accommodation for something that was affecting me, and it could have been accommodated very easily. But guess what? They told me no. They told me no, because if we do it for you, then other people are gonna want it as well, which I thought was messed up, because I truly needed this accommodation, and they had no problem with telling me no. And then later on, they asked me if I could do something or like extend something. Guess what? I'm gonna tell them no too, because they have no problem telling me no, and then that's why I deuces and I left that job. Because at the end of the day, you have to remember, like, yeah, work is work, but you, at the end of the day, like, it is your life. It is your life, work, job. No company have no control of you. No company have that much power over you. So you have to always remember the power is with God. Like, God has all the power, and you can't always like, and jobs will really just like will be try to become your God. Even they will make up things. They will make up unwritten rules just so they could get away with doing certain things. They will have all these policies in place. They would just have all these things to really control you as a person and your life, and you can't be giving them all that power. So just always remember that at the end of the day, God has all that power, and the only rules and stuff book that you need to really be following to the T is the Bible, period. And I feel like, that song, like Pop Smoke, Shaking Up the Room. I feel like no, when you start saying no, it's going to be shaking up the room for real, like shaking up the room. Because at the end of the day, like, people don't like when you create boundaries for yourself. Like, people do not like when you're no longer the doormat, when you're no longer the punching bag, or you're no longer like people pleasing. People don't like that. People have a hard time adjusting to when you start saying, no, I can't do it, or no, I don't have the time. Like, people gonna be feeling really different, and you're gonna be able to tell by their response, or their like nonverbal behavior, or how they start treating you, how they start trying to shade you and gaslight you. Or sometimes they be wild. They just will come out and say some wild stuff about you. That's what my internship did. They didn't even know me. They just like, she was just in disbelief that I said no. And I was bringing up issues and complaints with that. So like, no, like, saying no, you're really going to be shaking up the room. But guess what? It doesn't matter. That's their problem. That's something that they need to deal with. It's not your problem to make or it's not your responsibility to make other people feel comfortable with you saying no. Okay? Just make sure you remember that, because people are going to be a little uncomfortable, but that is not your problem. That is their problem, because what you're doing is you're standing up for yourself, you're advocating yourself, and you're only moving in the way that you want to move. Because I realized, especially for Black women, like, Black women really need to start saying no a lot more. Because the thing is, people are not used to us saying no. Every other racial group is allowed to say no and allowed to be a complete sentence. Black women, like, we always have to explain ourselves, which is very traumatizing, to have to say no and then have to pour our guts out to explain why we're saying no to somebody, just for them to still say, no, here's the tissue though to wipe your tears. Oh, make sure you practice self-care. Like, like, come on, man. Like, we're done. And that's what was said to me at my internship. I'm getting a little heated. But, like, you have to say, we as Black women have to stand together. We have to say no and let it be and let them just deal with it. We have to, when we start saying no, it helps the next Black person say no, or when they say no, it makes it a lot easier, because the other racial group, they need to start hearing us say no and letting it be a complete sentence. They're not used to it. They're bothered by it. They're triggered when they hear it. And if I start saying no, that means the girl behind me or the girl beside me, when she say no, they're going to hear it again. They're going to start getting used to it. They're not going to start treating you like a little kid and say, well, explain why you can't do it. Is there any reasons why you can't do it? No, it's a no, period. It's a no, period. That's what it is. So we gotta stand together, you guys. It's just very important, for us to do it, because they feel like Black women are not allowed to say no, and if we do, they feel like we need to explain ourselves over and over again, and it's traumatizing. No other group has to do it, or is required to do it, and they will start treating you different. They feel like you're supposed to be a yes man. You're supposed to just be happy to be here. That you're supposed to continue to keep putting labor and hard work into things that is no longer like serving you. They just feel like you're supposed to do it because you're here, because you're Black. They're used to seeing Black people be the help, Black people being a yes man. We're here to shake it up. We're here to tell you no. And I could tell sometimes by the response. There's been times when it was a recent situation where I was on the phone, with trying to set something up for my business, and there were like, I guess we was completing a contract on the phone, and there was like grammar issues on the contract that she did. And she asked, like, hey, I noticed I have some mistakes on the contract, like the grammar is off, certain things are spelled wrong. However, like, it's not a big deal. You can still sign off on this, or do you want me to recreate the whole contract again? But it'll just take like a couple more minutes for me to recreate, and then you could sign that form. And I told her, no, I do not want to sign the form that has grammar that has misspelled words, and I'd rather just get a new contract with the correct spelling. And when she said that, she was just like, it's like she paused and she was just like taken back a little bit. And this was a lady from another race, and she was just like, okay. And she just kind of got a little short with me, because prior to the whole contract thing, when we was just talking on the phone, she was like giggling, laughing, very happy, very outgoing. Everything was like perfect. And then soon when I just like kind of stood up, it's not even like standing up for myself, just more so like just having some type of respect and boundaries. I'm a business, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have a business for something else, and I wasn't okay with my contract having words that was spelled wrong. How am I supposed to sign something, be a graduate student, you know what I'm saying, be all these things, have a bachelor's degree, high school diploma, all these things, and also just like trying to run a business for something else, and seeing misspelled words and just being like, yeah, I'm gonna sign off on this. Like, she really thought I was going to sign off on this, and I could tell by her demeanor. And then when I said no, she kind of like was a little shook, and she was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to change the contract as you requested, and it's going to take a little bit times because you requested. I'm like, girl, okay, just do what you need to do, boo. And after that, we was just like, it was just very quiet on the phone. But prior, she was just giggling and talking, telling me where she lived, telling me about all these things that she got going on. And then, like I said, they're not used to it. They're not used to Black people, saying no. They're not used to hearing it. But hoping that no lasts more than just for November, that we're actually having no be a part of our vocabulary and just allowing it to be a complete sentence, or, like I said, finding new ways to say no without having to say no. So, like I said, it's a journey. It's okay to say yes sometimes. It is absolutely okay. And it's okay to evaluate what you're saying no to, what you're saying yes to. But just remember, it's a journey. Also, like, practice saying no in the mirror. A lot of adults actually don't say no as much. That's the funny thing. As when you think about it, as a kid, I feel like I just kind of remember, like, when I used to be like a daycare provider a long time ago. Like, I just remember it was bad. Like, parents and adults would make it seem like it was bad for their kids to, like, say no, you know? But I think kids say no more than adults these days anyways. But, like, practice saying no in the mirror, because a lot of adults actually don't say no in their lives, and they don't say no to other adults. Like, they rarely say no to other adults. They say no to their kids a lot. And it's like, say yes to your kids more. Like, your kids are, like, your kids are your kids. They're probably just asking for, like, candy and ice cream and to hang out with you, like, things that make you happy. And meanwhile, you're saying no to your kids, but saying yes to things that you don't even want to do at work or with adults or with drama and things like that. So we have to start practicing saying no in the mirror to adults, to other adults, to our peers, to our colleagues. And like I said, practice the phrases. If you have a problem saying no, like, if you just can say no, practice saying, like, I don't think so, or I'll have to check. Things like that, because this will allow you to at least not say yes or to commit to things that you don't want to do. And like I said, when they come back with a response, practice a few things, a few phrases that's in your memory box that will allow you to already have a quick response when they come back asking you, like, hey, did you think about this? You can say, hey, I thought about it. Sorry, I'm not able to do it. And, you don't have to ask them any details on what they're doing or what they're working on, or tell them that, or say, like, hey, it's a no for now. But if you need help, and you can't find someone, let me know. No, we're not saying that. We're just saying, hey, I thought about it. Sorry, I'm not able to help you. And we're going to keep it moving. Another thing that I find that is very helpful is identifying boundaries with myself for different settings. Because let's be honest, like, even though you take you wherever you go, but sometimes you show up different in different spaces. So it's important for, a person to identify what boundaries that they have for different settings that you engage with the daily, and for new environments. So different settings, like your work environment, maybe your church environment, school, or friends and family, things like that. Those are different spaces that you have, and sometimes, like, we don't show up the same at all of those spaces, and sometimes we got to make sure that we have different boundaries with each space, so we could already have an idea of things that we cool with and things we're not cool with. So, like, for example, my boundaries at work might be a little bit different with my family and friends. So you got to think about, like, what are some just, like, boundaries that you could kind of think of things that, you're, like, they're non-negotiables. And right away that someone is, like, trying to test one of your boundaries. Not in a harmful way. But like I said, when you set up boundaries with yourself, that means you already know what your boundaries are. So when someone is trying to test one of your boundaries, not in a mean way, but they're just like testing your boundaries because you already identified them, so you know what they are. You're able to recognize like, hey, they're testing one of my boundaries, and I already know this is not going to work. So it's easier for you to engage with them and say yes or no. It's almost like, you know, it's almost like just working at a store and there's already rules in place. So when a customer asks you a question, you already know the answer. You don't have to talk to your manager. You don't have to talk to your coworker about it. You already know the answer because you already identify what the rules are. So sometimes we have to create that same thing, but within ourselves. So for example, if I work somewhere and I know it's a part of the work culture that some people work late because they want to. Some people get asked to work late, and they might not want to, but it's a choice. But it's a part of this work culture to be asked to stay late. So if I know that this is the type of work environment that I'm in, I will create boundaries that, hey, I work my set time. So if my set time is 9 to 5, if my supervisor or anyone asks me if I could stay past 5 or work late or work past that time, I already know that my boundary is that I do not work overtime. I do not work late. You don't need to put your whys unless you want to. It's like because I just don't want to, or because, maybe I have kids and family to go to, or because I just don't freaking want to. So like when you create those boundaries, when you show up at work and someone say, hey, so and so, can you work late tonight? You already know that they're testing one of your boundaries, which is I don't work late, and you already know that's a non-negotiable. So you already should have some responses prepared on what you would tell your manager. It's like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm unable to work late today, or hey, I don't think I'm gonna be able to work late today. You already could kind of think of different phrases that you'll already have in place. Versus if you did not set up those boundaries, you'll probably be like, they'll probably catch you off guard. Like it could be like 4:30, right before you're about to clock out, and they'll be like, "Hey, can you work late tonight?" Just really see how like subtle that is. Catches you off guard. You're not expecting it, and you're just like you're kind of stuck because you're like, yes. So you're thinking like, okay, I'll just do it this one time, or you don't want to say no, but when you're not even realizing that that's a boundary that you don't want to be crossed, but you have to identify your boundaries first in order for you to really start being able to say no in these workspaces or different environments. Identifying your boundaries is just going to be really helpful and really easy when you kind of know what is your yays and what are your nays. So work on that, you guys. And then another thing is just remember to take your time. Like it's a journey. If you say yes to something, and you change your mind that night, it's okay. The next day it might be a little difficult, but just let them know like, hey, I thought about it again last night, and I really don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. It's okay. It's your life. It's okay to change your mind. Just remember that, you guys. At the end of the day, this is truly like this is just your life. So my final thoughts on No-November is that I encourage, I think people should definitely like go for the challenge. I think letting no be a part of your vocabulary is just very important, and I'm just really here for it. I think it's really important for Black people to start saying no more. I think we spend a lot of time doing things the right way, doing things that we don't want to do, and it's really time for us to say yes to things that we love. Say yes to things that's going to feed our soul, feed our energy, make us happy, and say no to things that we don't desire. And that means even saying no to yourself. I know that's a whole nother a whole nother section, but sometimes we have to say no to ourselves, and that means to say no to engaging into activities that we know is no longer good for us, or engaging into things that that enable us to continue unwanted behavior. Time for us to say yes to the things that we love and saying no to the things that we just don't desire anymore. Um, so I hope you guys find this episode helpful. Please join our Facebook group. We are a growing community. You can follow at She's Champion. And you can also follow us on any other platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at She's Champion. We are here to make our life better. We are here to empower each other to really get the life that we truly desire. And I think No-November is really perfect because it's the foundation of truly living the life that you want. In order to live the life that you want, you have to make decisions every single day. And it can't be yes. Every decision can't always be yes, especially if it doesn't align with you. We have to feel comfortable saying yes to things that we want to do, yes to things that we think will be helpful for us in our growing areas, but saying no to things that we don't want to do. Saying no to things that we don't have to do. So yeah, I'm definitely here for No-November. Thanks again for listening to the She's Champion podcast, you guys. See you next time.